Hey. Hey, hey. Shout outs to Shireen for this playlist. Hey, hey, hey. Alright, so the purpose of this stream really, I'm gonna stream Dragon Ball later on after this. So CyberPunk had a Night City Wire episode today, and I didn't even watch the first one fully. I watched like reviews of the first one, so I'm gonna go ahead and play the. Just gonna watch it, just react to it naturally because I didn't get to watch, and then I didn't watch any of the stuff that came out today. So the second episode is gonna be like a pure reaction to it. So let's see here if everything is right. Let's just pull up my stream manager here. Just getting my stream layout ready, and all I have to do is just change the titles when I switch over to play Dragon Ball. Alright, so let's see here. I'll also turn off the light in the background. So glad I have the V cam so you guys can't like see exactly what my room looks like. Alright, that's a notification I can do on my phone. There we go. And I just switch the light to shine on me so you can see me better. There we go. You see me look in the corner because of my third screen over here. And I can just see what the stream looks like. Alright, so. Lower this a bit. Actually, pause it. And then. Let's play this first.
You don't believe in no fate. Every day digging the grave. Stepping up here with the snakes. City of dreams, city of.
Hello and welcome to this, the very first episode of Night City Wire, a brand new series from us at CD Projekt Red, where we'll be talking about all things Cyberpunk 2077. For today's episode, we'll be starting with a brand new trailer. One of our developers will be joining us to help unpack everything you're going to see. We'll have some news, an announcement about a secret collaboration. We'll be taking a look at some brain dance gameplay and welcoming back our developers just to have a chat about everything you're going to see. But there is one more thing. Media all over the world have been getting hands-on with Cyberpunk 2077, and when this episode finishes, you'll be able to go and check out exactly what they thought. So, let's get started. It is time to take a look at our brand new trailer, and after that, our lead quest designer Pavel Sasko will be joining us, because I've got a feeling you're going to have a few questions after watching this. So, let's take a look.
Love this town, the city of endless opportunity.
This game looks so good.
Popped? Yeah, come on.
City like any other, just bigger.
Nah, mano, not just any other city. Legends are born here.
The major leagues. We're only here because Dex is pulling the strings. Doubt that puts us in the same league as them.
But we are. They just don't know it yet. But if you got the cojones and you know how to use them, you can do damn near anything.
Unless you catch a bullet.
Even then, you go out with a bang, right?
You know, you can make heaps more ways as a motivational speaker.
Yo, Mr. V, a pleasure.
So what's the gig, Dex? You meant to come out in one piece? How about we go over the plan?
There's this prototype tech, a biochip to be precise. Jobs to grab it.
Guessing it belongs to a corp.
Arasaka.
We're robbing some heavy hitters.
Thought you could blackmail me, fucker?
High risk, high reward. First rule of the afterlife.
Ka-ching, baby.
Goes without saying, we do this on the hush. Ideally, no bodies, not a one.
Sounds simple enough.
Eat lead, assholes!
Is it gonna be dangerous?
Don't you worry, mi amor. We're bulletproof.
Get your ass moving now!
What the fuck just happened in there?
Can't stop digging Night City.
Fucking major leagues. Happy now, Jackie?
Yep, that's fucking high! Time to bail!
Oh my god, we're so fucked.
Dex, what the fuck?
Can't risk it, V.
And you, who are you?
Hey, Keanu.
So the trailer contains footage from the game's prologue only, but there was an awful lot in it. So Pavel, why don't you try and help us unpack everything that we just saw?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely, I can try. So, what you have just seen is only the prologue of the game. So that awesome stuff is only happening in the first few quests. What the trailer shows you is really our stage, the Night City. You know, this gigantic city built of six completely unique districts, surrounded by the seventh one that we call the Badlands. As a player, you are meeting Jackie. Jackie's your friend. Now, they together are trying to reach out for something that is very precious. They are trying to reach out for this chip of immortality, this gateway to eternal life. Jackie introduces you to Fixer Dexter Deshawn. He's a very important person in the social ladder of Cyberpunk. He is able to provide the player with various jobs and contracts to be able to gather money, to be able to modify their bodies, push themselves to the limits, to put their hands on the chip. But as you can expect, not everything goes as planned, but to see it, you will have to play the game.
There are an awful lot of really cool things in this trailer, and there's a few that I would just love to talk about a little bit more for the people at home. So let's start with talking about a gang called the Mox. Now, we see a few flashes of them in this trailer. I personally think they're really cool and one of my favorites, but can you give us a little bit more information about them?
Oh yes, so the Mox is one of the gangs that player is going to interact with throughout the game. The Mox is the gang that has been formed in 2076 after death of Elizabeth Borden. She was called Lizzie. Now, she was an owner of a brothel and former sex worker, and she was protecting working guys and girls from harassment, from abuse, and the gang is really continuing her mission. And as a player, you are going to interact with that gang, meet multiple different NPCs, and craft your own relationship with them, and understand what they are all about.
So earlier on, you did mention a 7th district, a place called the Badlands. Now, we saw a few shots of this in the trailer, but I'd love for you to give us a bit more detail about the district outside of the city walls.
Okay, so the Badlands is this like dead, dried out space going around the whole Night City. And as a player, you'll be able to traverse that space in your car or motorcycle. This is a space that is inhabited by the nomads. Nomads are living in the different families, and they are traveling across that space in convoys made out of the cars and motorcycles. And as a player, you'll be able to traverse and access different type of open world content that has been prepared specifically for you to get that awesome feel of the Badlands.
Bro, even like they're like
in the trailer, we also saw like a completely metal creature. Now, he didn't look like he was from the Maelstrom gang. This looked like something else. So please tell the people at home, who is this giant metal monster?
Okay, so that big dude, that was Adam Smasher. He has been introduced in pen and paper.
It looks something out of like Metal Gear, dude.
By our senpai Mike Von Smith. Adam Smasher is a fully converted cyborg. He was always a loyalist of Arasaka. And time has changed, and in 2077 he had to find his own space in Night City. But to find out, you'll have to play the game.
In this trailer, we do see some flashes of a Ripper Doc called Victor Vector. I think if people have watched our previous gameplays, they might remember him. But I'd really like for you to give the people at home some more information about what Ripper Docs are and how they'll be interacting with them when they play Cyberpunk.
So Ripper Docs in our game, they are surgeons. They are like a specific type of a job in the social ladder of Cyberpunk. They are accustomed and specialized in replacing limbs to the metal ones. They can basically update your body, enhance your body, change you into this walking war machine.
That's so dope.
And as a player, you are going to meet different kind of Ripper Docs in the game, craft your own relationship with them. Some of them are like important characters for a story. through that, you will invest eddies that you're gathering to turn your body into this tool that allows you to survive on the streets of Night City.
Pavel, thank you so much for joining us. I know you'll be back later in the episode because you're going to be helping us to analyze the Braindance gameplay. But before that, we do have some news to share. Earlier in the year, we announced that if you pick up CyberPunk 2077 on Xbox One, you'll be able to play it on Xbox Series X when the console launches. And just in case you missed it, it will be the same for PlayStation players as well. If you pick up CyberPunk 2077 on PlayStation 4, you'll also be able to play it on PlayStation 5 when the console launches. And that's not all. There will be a free upgrade for Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, but we'll have more details on that soon.
Tonight City.
Before we reveal
the
our
Xbox
first look
version,
at the Braindance gameplay, and
so I know that when
our
I
developers
get
for
the
a
Series
chat,
X,
there is just
I'll
one
be able
more
to
thing we
continue
want to
on,
announce.
especially with the
something that
save
we've been
file.
working on in secret for a while.
I almost spent so many
we
hours
are
in
very
this game.
excited to announce our partnership with Studio Trigger and Netflix to bring you CyberPunk Edgerunners,
Yeah, I remember they
a
announced this
standalone
last
anime
month.
set in the Cyberpunk universe, which we've been working on for some time now. Edgerunners is due to launch in 2022, but for some more information, let's go to the team in Tokyo.
Hi, my name is Saya Elder. I am the Japan-based producer for CyberPunk Edgerunners. What I do basically on this project is that I am a fixer, to put it in the words of the Cyberpunk universe. We are a game company. We are a bunch of nerds, and wherever there are nerds, there's going to be anime fans. So it was always a dream for us to make anime. When we began this project, we were certain that we didn't want to make a recreation of the game. CyberPunk Edgerunners is a standalone story set in the same universe. The stage is still Night City, but everything else is totally new. New characters, new story. I do like to think that it's going to be a great gateway for newcomers to come and check Cyberpunk game and also the Cyberpunk genre as a whole. Right now we're in Nakano, which is one of the biggest anime meccas of the world. I'm going to take you to Studio Trigger right now because we have the wonderful opportunity to talk to the dream team that will be bringing you this anime.
こんにちは。トリガーの代表取締役の大塚です。
監督の今石です。
キャラクターデザインを担当する吉成です。
ゲームのサイバーパンクのファンの方、今回初めて触れる方両方に満足していただけるようにアニメを作るそうです。よろしくお願いします。
今回はそのサイバーパンクという僕らが10代の一ファンにしか過ぎなかった頃に生まれたジャンル、そういうジャンルのものをまた、時代が何周もして作れるというのが非常に楽しみです。
トリガーも10年ということで、監督に今石、キャラクターデザインに吉成というトリガーの最強の布陣で、トリガー10周年にふさわしい作品にしていきたいと思います。お楽しみに。
It's gonna be good, and it's just gonna be on Netflix. It's gonna be 2022, so we gotta wait like 2 years. That's whack.
Now it is time to show you some gameplay of Braindance. This is a feature that you'll experience when you play Cyberpunk 2077. Braindance is essentially a recording of somebody else's experience. It allows you to relive their sense of sight, smell, touch, and even hearing, all thanks to a special device. After the gameplay, I will be welcoming back Pavel Sasko. I will also be joined by Patrick Mills, our senior quest designer and all-round lore master, who will be helping to answer your questions and give you some explanation on how you'll be interacting with Braindance when you play Cyberpunk 2077. So, let's take a look.
Plan simple. Do nothing odd. Don't get creative. You go in, snatch the cash, get out. And we sell the BD to those psycho freaks from the studio.
Got it.
And remember, everything on full blast. They'll spot us extra for a wicked adrenaline high.
So they got this whole thing of like just detective shit.
On you go.
Down, everybody, on the ground. I want to see you kissing the flooring. Money, now, or I'll fucking drop you, I swear to God. Well, yeah, hey, now, before I blow your fucking head off.
Oh, Rubik's Cube is just 4 boxes.
Ah! Slow, deep breaths. Your cortisol and adrenaline spiked, but the soft activated your hormone blockers. Nothing
Yo, tattoos was dope.
You're alive and well.
That was too much. I could feel the guy's pain, his stress, his hope. Hope wrapped up in something else.
Mm-hmm. Probably took a booster just before. You'll be fine. Got everything set up? Let's switch over to editing mode. I'll sever the link to the BD Roller's sensory array. You'll be able to look around freely. Whole scene's yours.
Yo!
Cam control in analysis mode, so move around, zoom in and out, whatever else you come up with. Think of it as your own little sandbox. So, analysis mode, you control playback. Can even pause when you feel the need.
Yo, this is dope.
Then you use the editor console to unpause. Try it.
Plan simple. Do nothing odd. Don't get creative. You go in, snatch the cash, get out. And we sell the BD to those psycho freaks from the studio.
Got it.
Preem as hell, right? Well, that's not all. You can
Preem as
speed
hell.
things up
I'm gonna start using that. Preem as hell.
Give it a try. Rewind. Roll it back to the top. All good. Neat. Now try fast forwarding a bit.
Plan simple. Do nothing odd. Don't be creative. You go in, snatch the cash, get out.
Okay. You can also reset the recording. That'll take you right back to the beginning. Try it. Now for some fun. This here's why you came in the first place. In analysis mode, you get to view and even scan details of the enviro recorded by the BD Roller. Focus on the heat, the gun this gonk gets from his buddy at the beginning. Now scan it.
Plan simple. Do nothing odd. Don't get creative. You go in, snatch the cash, get out. And we sell the BD to those psycho freaks from the studio. And remember,
okay, right here. Excellent.
Yo.
Let's move on. Now heads up. In analysis mode, you can ferret out background noise and conversations if the roller got close enough. This tech records everything, every little detail, even the sights and sounds the roller was never aware of. To see the sources of the recorded sensory signals, switch to the audio layer in the editor. Go ahead and try that now. Okay, good. Now you should see several sound signatures in the store.
Yo.
Choose one and hone in on it.
Pack of 6, case of Brosif, and a couple of zappers.
Okay. We have a deal today on 2 flavors. Curry and surf and everybody!
So, any thoughts?
Unbelievable. Seriously. Like what's happening right next to me.
Yeah, it's how BD recording implants work. They pick up everything, all the elements in the background. Then an editor tweaks them, makes them pop.
Yo, this is fucking dope.
With the sound, explore it a bit. We'll move on when you get bored.
Wanna see you kissing the flooring? Money! Net!
Sometimes you can analyze extra layers in the raw. Stuff the roller's cyberware picked up.
Like what?
Ev's got Kiroshi optics that grab infrared, meaning you should be able to grab heat signatures from her recording.
Huh. Hella nice.
Scanning works on peeps, too. Walk up to the wounded chick. Try scanning her. Alright, next thing. Scroll forward to the part
unconscious,
bruh. Lead injection.
Or I will fucking drop you, I swear to God! Well, now, fucking head off!
See that? They shot him and
Yo!
never saw it coming. But you will. Here it comes. My favorite part of the game. See the blinking thing over the entrance? Surveillance cam. Must have caught our shooter. You'll see in a sec. Cam feeds to the screen behind the clerk. Roll back to where the screen's in the kid's field of vision, then scan it.
I appreciate you.
Yo, Braxton, what's good, bro? I appreciate you, bro.
His own Chumba shot him. Probably planned to all along. Must have got a nice slice of cred on the black market for a BD like this.
Let me know what's
BD
good, man.
Freaks are ready to pay a premium.
If you're watching along, hyped up for Cyberpunk.
If you've seen enough, you can exit.
Cause this shit looks dope.
Yeah,
this shit looks really
right?
dope.
It's too bad most of the BDs we do here are only good for flogging the log.
So Braindance is a pretty big part of the Cyberpunk universe. It's not just something used for adult films. There is an awful lot to it. And there's two sides I'd really like you guys to help me explore. First is the lore, so how this actually fits into the universe. And then there's the gameplay side, so how players will be interacting with it. So Patrick, could you tell us more about the lore of Braindance?
I would love to. So in the world of Cyberpunk 2077, Braindance was invented way back in the early 2000s at UC Santa Cruz. It was developed as a way of recording a person's experiences and then playing them back for someone else so that they could relive them as though it was happening to them. It was originally used for things like therapy and prisoner rehabilitation,
that's
but by
dope.
2077 it's become this global media industry, including things like movies, mass entertainment, things like that, video games, some interactive things, and of course adult fare as well. Now, in our game, we deal a lot with black brain dances, or XBDs as we call them, and there are different types of those, but the one that you saw in the trailer just there was a flatliner. Now that's where the person recording it actually dies during the recording. And it's popular with sort of an illicit kind of a thrill, but a mercenary can also use them for various things, and you'll see that in the game, of course.
And from the gameplay perspective, we have been working a lot throughout last years trying to figure out the best way how to use the braindance in the game as a mechanics.
No, it's not
what
real.
we
It's
have
just for
settled on is
Cyberpunk
this
from what it looks
braindance editor mode. As a player, you will be able to run the braindance in the editor mode and see different clues that have been registered on the peripheral of given actor. Now, as a player, you can slide on the timeline of the recording, back and forth, trying to uncover different clues. And that clues are actually telling a story in the game. So, as a player, you will run different investigations that will lead you to different mysteries, and you will uncover them actually using that braindance as a mechanics in the game.
So, as Pavel was saying, we use Braindance as a storytelling tool. It's not a collectible. It's not something where you're going to go in and you're going to play it and you're going to be like, I've seen this before. What we use Braindance for is to give you a keyhole into the life of the residents of Night City. And we can explore things like childhood trauma, religion, various philosophical ideas in a way that you might not otherwise experience in a story about a mercenary on the tough streets.
So we've tried to talk about some of the aspects that we think the community will find really exciting, but you know, while you're both here, I'd love to know, what is it about Cyberpunk that you guys are really excited for? Patrick, why don't you start?
So one of the things that I'm most excited about in this game is the characters and the way they interact with the world. We've got this really interesting world that stretches all the way back to the Cyberpunk 2020 source material and all of these events and all of those things, but those don't mean anything unless they connect with characters. And so when we come up with a character, we start with their function. What is this person? What do they do in the story? But we don't stop there. We go back and we figure out, what was their childhood like? What was their upbringing like? What kind of obstacles did they face in this harsh reality, and did they overcome them? And how did they overcome them, or did they not overcome them, and why? And you can see all of those things in their environment, in their dialogues, in sort of how they operate in the world. And we come up with that for all of our characters. Now, you look at someone like Victor Vector, and you're going to see stories about his past in his environment and in his dialogue. You know, we come up with that stuff even if we don't use it in the game, because it helps inform us as to who these characters are.
And for me, I would not be myself if I would not say that I'm the most excited about our quests. Like with our Witcher 3 team, with Patrick and like everybody that has stayed with us since the Witcher 3 time, we really have grown so much. We have learned so much, and we have used all that experience to put them into the quest that we have made. And you will not find really a filler in this game. Like everything has a meaning. Like we put so much effort into making sure that everything is rewarding, is interesting, is talking about characters, as Patrick said, it's talking about worlds, it's talking about emotions, like touching the player in a really, like a real way. And I just can't wait to find out what you think.
Pavel, I know you mentioned story and quests and writing quests, and when I was last in the studio, I had a look and I saw a notebook on your desk, and I would love for you to show everybody this notebook.
Okay, Holly, I mean, you asked for it. So this is my notebook. It says Salsa Quest Designer. The reason is because I dance salsa, and I'm a quest designer, so you know. So I started this notebook actually when we were really starting CyberPunk. At the very beginning, I wrote like a first note, and it says pretty much something along the lines of that we were starting with a prototype. And then, you know, I kept on basically noting things that we've been working on for like next year's. I remember once when our concept artists actually approached me, and they said that they want to take a look on my notebook. I was like, what for actually? And they took some pictures, and they told me, yeah, well, you know, because we are looking for a reference material for notes of a psychopathic killer. Yeah, well, you may find maybe some of my notes in the game.
Pavel and Patrick, thank you so much for joining me. I'm pretty lucky because I have read some of the stories that you and the team have written for Braindance, and I'm pretty excited for people to discover them. But before we do finish today's episode, there is just one more thing we'd like to talk about. Earlier in this episode, I mentioned that media have been getting hands-on with the opening of CyberPunk 2077, and they should be posting their impressions right about now. And if you missed anything from today's episode, don't worry, we'll be uploading everything to our channels very soon. And finally, on behalf of everybody at CD Projekt Red, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us for this, the very first episode of Night City Wire. But don't worry, we'll be back with episode 2 in just a few weeks. So, we shall see you soon.
All right. So let's go here. Okay. So what's this? Is this a song? Yeah, it looks like this looks like songs. Alright. Let's get to episode 2. So I've seen most of the everything. So like, yeah, I've seen everything like in episode 2. But it's episode 1 from like reactions and everything. It was the first time I sat down and watched episode 1. Now this is episode 2. They came out today. I haven't seen any of it. So this is gonna be dope.
Every day digging the grave, stepping up here with the stakes, city of dreams, city of...
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Night City Wire. This is the show from us at CD Projekt Red, where we talk about all things Cyberpunk 2077. In today's episode, we're going to be deep diving into Life Pass and showing you a brand new gameplay video, as well as having a chat to Philip from our quest team. Then we're going behind the scenes and taking a look at how Refused are bringing the band Samurai to life. And then we're showing you another new gameplay video and having a chat to Pavel, our senior gameplay designer, about just some of the tools of destruction that will be at your disposal in Night City. So let's get started. Street Kid, Nomad, or Corpo? Which will you pick first?
Life Pass, let's go.
Well, who do we have here?
Grew up in Haywood. The whole street was my family. Neighbors helped each other out. Thought nothing of it.
I'm pleased to see you have not forgotten your roots.
Born here, live here, die here. Childhood memories. Hopping buildings, running away from badges. Iron-tasted blood from a split lip.
Motherfucker.
Got everybody fighting for a slice of the street.
Get the fuck out of Vista.
If you keep getting jumped, you and find some stronger choosers.
Do you want to spend the rest of your days blasting scabs? Or become a legend overnight?
We have arrived. The Major.
Ready to get your cherry popped? Yeah, come on!
My childhood? Let's see. Racing my bobber for the first time through the hills. Oh, and first
I'm gonna
kiss
do all
in the middle of
three.
a synth
I just don't
cornfield.
know which first one I'm gonna do.
We nomads choose who to make our family. A choice forges strong bonds and a higher duty that stands solid as an old oak.
My family's in pieces. That's why I'm headed for Night City.
Makes you an outcast among outcasts.
Miss this, you know? Camaraderie.
I know. I saw it in your heart the first time we met.
Know what I always liked about nomads? Your taste, no, hunger for freedom. Not easy to come by in Night City. Corp's got their grubby claws and everything.
I have those reports you asked for.
They were supposed to be ready yesterday.
The world's going to tear us apart when the word gets around.
The world's never going to find out.
If I go down, you're going down with me. No! I'm not fucking joking.
This isn't a request, V. But no way you're fucked, right? You're the one who fixes other people's shit.
If you work in Arasaka counter intel, you're always fucked.
Today, they got you to zero somebody. Tomorrow, they'll get somebody else to zero you.
It's the rules, Jack. Want to be top? Gotta have some skin in the game.
Yeah, but you're not on top. Saburo Arasaka is. And you're the pendejo who keeps him there. Work for yourself, live for yourself. That's the only way.
I'm just doing all three. I might do Street Kid first, though. It's between Street Kid and Corporal.
Philip, it is so good to see you again. It's actually been a while since I've had a chance to interview you about Cyberpunk. So I think for today, we'll start with a question that everybody wants to know. How does the path you pick affect your time in Night City?
It actually affects your time quite a lot throughout the whole game, but let's start at the beginning, because basically our game has 3 different starts depending on your life path. As an example, if you choose the Street Kid life path, you have lived most of your time in Night City. You know the streets, you know the gangs, you know the slang, you kind of know what's going on in the, let's say, lower life aspects of the city, which can of course give you lots of good opportunities also later on in the game. But if you start as a nomad, you actually used to be part of a nomad clan and a nomad family, because nomads that roam the deserts around Night City, that we call the Badlands, actually value their family above anything. But for one reason or another, you actually left that family behind, and now the beginning of the game for you will actually be how to get into Night City and how to make a new life there. Then you can also choose to actually be a corpo, or choose the corporate life path. And that basically means that you're not at home in the streets of Night City or in the deserts of the Badlands, but actually inside a boardroom, because you rose the corporate ladder of the Arasaka Corporation, which basically gives you the ability to sometimes, read between the lines, read people when they're trying to do business, which of course can give you many nice opportunities later on.
So this isn't just about the start of the game. Can you maybe help people understand how this translates into the gameplay?
Yeah. So the thing is, we make Cyberpunk a real RPG, and part of that is that you can play your character from the start to the end. And of course, we have these life paths affecting the beginning of the game, but we wanted to make it so you have your life path opportunities throughout the whole game until the game is over. And as an example, we do that by giving you additional options in dialogues. So I can give you one specific example. And this is a mission where you have to steal a flathead robot from the Maelstrom gang. Basically, those Maelstromers stole that flathead before from a corporate transport. And the owner of that corporate transport, Meredith Stout, wants you to do something else. And this is an optional objective.
And even within that objective, we want to give you some options.
That's from
as an example, if you have a
E3.
corporate life path, you basically know what Meredith Stout is really about. You can read between the lines, and you can get some additional options that maybe actually later enable you to do a completely different thing with the Maelstrom gang. And if you're a nomad, you know exactly some more details about how these Maelstromers would have even been able to steal a robot like that from Meredith Stout, who's part of the very powerful Militech Corporation. As a street kid, we, as an example, don't give you a specific new dialogue option in that dialogue, because as a street kid, you do not have a lot of experience dealing with higher-up people like Meredith Stout. But we want to give you additional options that fit your life path very well. So later, when you actually talk to the Maelstrom gang, one member of the gang offers you some illegal substance, but as a street kid, you actually know what this is about. You can talk some shop with him, and that might actually make that character like you a little bit more.
So Philip, I do have a couple of extra questions for you based on the video we just saw. And the first is about nomads. So the nomad life path, this starts in a place called the Badlands. Is this somewhere you get to visit even if you don't pick nomad to start with?
Yes, absolutely. So the thing is, Night City is surrounded by this huge landscape that we call the Badlands, and you can go there whenever you want. So as an example, if you actually do play the nomad life path at the start and you are in the Badlands, you can even see Night City on the horizon. And we want to give you the option later in the game, if you want, you can just take your car and drive out of the city. You can go there whenever you want. The thing is, you might not want to, because the Badlands can be a pretty dangerous place at first, because time has not been very kind to the Badlands. There have been many wars in the past. There's global warming. So most people that do live out there don't really have another choice about it, or are nomads that love this life and are all about it and are very battle-hardened. We, of course, also want to tell their stories, because we want to tell many, many different stories throughout the cyberpunk genre, which means that you will also find missions that lead you out in the Badlands or where you deal with the people living there.
So Philip, can you tell us a little bit more about the character, Padre? He's the guy we see giving his business card to Street Kid V in the video. Who is this man?
Yeah, so Padre is actually one of the fixers in Night City. And fixers are people that work as intermediaries. So if someone who has a lot of money needs a problem solved, they go to a fixer. And a fixer then finds people who can solve that problem. And these people are people like you, V, cyberpunks. Fixers are very territorial. So Padre specifically works from Haywood, which is where you as a street kid grew up in, so you already know him. You might have already seen another one of our fixers who is called Dexter Deshawn, and he works in a different part of the city. So specifically Padre, you might know him as a street kid, but even if you played other life paths, you might sooner or later meet him because he's operating in Haywood, which is a pretty big place with many good jobs. So if you want to make some cash there, you will sooner or later deal with Padre.
Philip, thank you so much for joining us. Now, on my first playthrough, pretty sure I'm going to be picking Nomad, but for those watching, we would love to know what you'll be picking. So have a think about it and send us a tweet. Don't forget that later in this episode, we're going to be showing you another new gameplay video and having a chat to Pavel, our senior gameplay designer, about just some of the tools of destruction that will be at your disposal in Night City. But before that, let's talk about music, because music plays a huge part in bringing Night City to life. Now, in future episodes, we're going to talk about things like radio stations.
Oh, they got whole radio stations?
Score.
Let's go.
But today, we're going to take a look behind the scenes at how Refused to bringing Johnny Silverhand's band, Samurai, to life.
I wouldn't write these lyrics for myself.
Hey.
So it's kind of interesting to get into like the mindset of who is this character and what would they write about, or what's their agenda. It's interesting to try to like catch a language that's his and try to catch a language that's like part of this game. There is a reason why we're here.
That's a whole like mini doc. All right, let's keep back relaxed.
It was Piotr maybe who was a fan of the band.
He knew Refuse and he knew my voice, and he said, "Oh, that's a perfect voice for Johnny."
And that they wanted, I guess, a sound that was a bit contemporary from when Johnny's supposed to have had the band, because he's sort of like an anti-establishment kind of guy.
Gonna drag a corporal rat on stage, make him kneel, douse him with gas, then light him up?
So of course there are things that you can relate to, and like just like this outcast and this rebel that's fighting against like the corporals, and that's definitely something that's been a part of my life and a part of Refuse's life.
We came out of the punk rock scene of northern Sweden.
He's like the future version of us. So I think it makes sense. I think it totally makes sense for us to be here making these songs about him or for him. You know? So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. No trills. But yeah, but like wide vibrato.
And then, I mean, just sort of build,
yeah,
slowly build some intensity.
We don't have a different mode than just going all in. So we really worked on these songs, trying to make them as good as possible. But then they're not actually our songs.
It's interesting as a musician to play another musician, because that's essentially what we're doing. I mean, we're not here as Refuse, we're here as Samurai. And I'm here as Johnny Silverhand, you know? So it's like the voice we're representing here is someone else.
We'll never fade away!
It's been a mind fuck.
I mean, the shouting in itself is just like second nature to me, because I've been doing this for a very long time. But then when someone comes in and says,
"I'm happy with everything except for Azza Lim." Again, it's Azza. Azza. Okay.
The shouting's great, but think of that accent, or think of that like enunciation. It's a bit weird because it's a very different way of singing when you're screaming like that, and it's hard to sort of
Swallowing some syllables there.
adjust your accent.
Oh yeah, just try it again.
So it's been a bit kind of frustrating.
It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great.
But I mean, I get it. I mean, we have to maintain the illusion that this character that's a character of the game also is me, like when I'm singing it. So it makes sense. But yeah, it's a bit different to have someone telling you exactly how to enunciate things, because I'm not used to, usually people just like give me a thumbs up, and then like, you know, you think of things like the rhythm, and you think about the pitch, and you think about all these things, but then someone comes in and like, that word sounded weird. I'm like, what? No, that's how I sing. But so it's been a very, yeah, a bit painful at times, but it's all right.
See this soon, I'm chipping in. Roll the bones, I'm chipping in. Belt that cone, I'm chipping in. Mayhem flows.
It's a very interesting thing to be part of. As a person that's not a gamer, I don't think I fully understand the impact that this might have. If people like these songs and if people are excited, then that's going to be great. I mean, we are spending a lot of times trying to get this right, trying to get it to sound like, you know, like Samurai would sound, you know. So it's quite interesting. It's a very different way of making music, actually.
You can already find 3 Samurai tracks available on streaming services: Chippin' In, Never Fade Away, and The Ballad of Buck Ravers. But we're excited to announce a 4th new song called A Like Supreme, which is coming to streaming services today. That means you can check it out once the show is over. Don't forget that if you're tuning in late, or if you just want to watch anything again, we will be uploading everything to our channel soon. Next up, Pavel and I are going to introduce you to some creative ways that you can solve problems in Night City.
Hey V, I have a job for you. A client of mine is making an arms deal. He needs protection. It could get hot, very hot. The gun dealers are Maelstrom. Alas, nothing ever transpires as planned with them. You better gear up for this.
Yo. Ooh. Bro. Yo, this song though. All but the smart weapons, bro. Bro.
So V, are you willing?
Yeah, I'm in.
Armed to the teeth.
Pavel, thank you so much for joining me. Now, there was an awful lot in that video, right? Because it's more than just guns.
Absolutely. We have melee weapons, we have ranged weapons, we have cyberware, we have offensive cyberware, defensive cyberware, armor. We could talk for hours and hours about this stuff.
I think just for today's episode, we should keep it simple and let's just talk about guns. Can you tell us the different types of guns that will be in the game?
So we have 3 distinct types of guns in our game. We have power weapons, we have tech weapons, and we have smart weapons. Now, power weapons are the most similar to contemporary weapons. One thing they can do, which normal weapons cannot, is ricochet bullets off of surfaces. So you can hit somebody hiding behind cover or hiding behind a wall. Now, tech weapons, on the other hand, use electromagnetic power to propel a fully metal projectile to extreme velocities. What that allows them to do is to punch through cover or punch through walls to hit somebody who's not even aware that you're there. Smart weapons use guided missile technology to actually track targets in real time. So you can hit somebody who's dodging, running away from you, or you can hit somebody who's hiding behind cover.
So Pavel, CyberPunk doesn't just contain FPS elements, right? It's also a fully fledged RPG. So can you tell us how you guys approached introducing those RPG elements into gunplay?
So I can tell you one thing, Holly, it wasn't easy to merge those 2 elements together. Now, we've spent a considerable amount of time merging the RPG and FPP side of our game. What the player will experience is that V changes from a small-time mercenary to a legend in the world of Night City. V becomes more and more proficient in using weapons as the game progresses. So they will see that reload times become shorter, the accuracy of your weapons grows, you will have faster aiming time, you will move faster with your weapons. Everything becomes more in your control, and that gives you more opportunities to defeat the biggest encounters that we've designed for you.
So I have prepared a few extra questions for you, Pavel, if you're feeling up to it.
Of course.
Okay, well the first is going to be, how do you find more weapons in Night City? Like, where will players be looking for them?
So I expect the players to look everywhere for new and exciting weapons.
You can, of course, buy weapons at vendor shops, and they will house an entire catalog of weaponry that you can get. However, the best weapons that you can find will be taken from enemies or
we get to
caches
loot.
that we have everywhere in Night City.
We get to
the
loot
weapons
people.
rarities
Let's go.
range from common through uncommon up to rare and then legendary. And as they go in rarity, they actually climb in power. However, legendary weapons are very specific in such a way that they possess unique abilities that you will find on no other weapons in the game. The players will actually need to make some tough choices to find some legendary weapons, because maybe they need to choose whether to kill a person who holds the legendary weapons that they want, or to spare them because they like them as a character.
So next question, let's talk about weapon modifications. What mods can people give to their weapons in Night City?
So we have two types of modifications in the game. One of them would be modifications that we call attachments. So these would be scopes and silencers, and you can see them actually being attached to your weapon as you're playing the game. They give you statistics advantage, and they give you more opportunities in gameplay. The other part of mods would be software mods. Now, these are basically small chips that you install in your weapon, and they actually change the statistics of the gun. They can give you damage, they can give you accuracy, or they can give you more fire rate. Some of those mods actually change the gunplay on a more fundamental level, so they can give you non-lethal rounds, biochemical rounds, to tear through that armor even faster.
So I suppose for my final question, why don't you tell us about your favorite weapon then? Which is your favorite weapon so far in Night City?
Oh, there are so many weapons that it's hard to choose just one. But I can mention some manufacturers with their weapons that I absolutely adore. The first manufacturer would be Tsunami Defense Systems, who produces the sniper rifle Nekomata. That's a tech sniper rifle. That means that it can pierce through walls. So you can actually hit somebody who's hiding behind cover or who doesn't even know you're there. Of course, I also like a close quarters approach. And what that needs is a shotgun. One of the shotguns that we have in the game is Budget Arms Carnage.
Bro,
now, that thing
look at
is
those
cut
shells.
from pure steel, and it weighs a ton. However, you can cut a person clean in half with it. Another shotgun that I absolutely love, it's for a more refined approach, I would say, is a smart shotgun, Kangtao Zhuo. That thing has 8 barrels, and that means it can track 8 targets independently. Now, killing an entire room was never simpler.
Pavel, thank you
Bro.
so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm actually pretty interested to see what kind of weapons people discover when they play CyberPunk for themselves. Before we end episode 2, this is a reminder that those who wish to dive deeper into the lore can now pick up The World of Cyberpunk 2077. This is a brand new book created in collaboration with Dark Horse Books that will give you an extensive look at what makes Night City tick before jumping into the game this November. That is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget that if you've missed anything or if you just want to watch again, we will be uploading everything to our channels shortly. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back with Night City Wire Episode 3 soon.
Right. Alright, so it's just like snippets. They have the songs here. These are from the last one. Alright, so that's it. Yeah, I guess there's nothing else I want to look into. So, gonna go ahead, update some titles here. Be back to play some Dragon Ball. Continue Dragon Ball for the rest of the night. So I'll be back. Hold on a minute. Alright. Peace.
Dripping on you.
you.